The next speaking voice you will hear after those selections will be none other than Mr. Vatrell Fountain. Y'all get on your feet and give them a hand on your feet.
I want you to see yourself in that vein. You see, we ask for stuff, but we don't ever see ourselves doing it. And I want you to use all 5 senses. Like, what does it feel like? What are you seeing in the vision? What are you hearing in the vision? What is it about the vision? I mean, I want to get to the point where what are you tasting in the vision? And I want you to keep that clear mental picture in your head. Now, you may open your eyes. Now, I want to ask everybody a question. What's the hardest part of the vision? You see, it's 3 phases of the vision. You have the beginning, you have the middle, and then you have the end. And I guess we can all agree that it's not the beginning of the vision that's the hardest, because that's where the excitement takes over. Prime example, January 1st, everybody got the vision of what their body will look like after going working out. But January 2nd, the parking lot empty, right? So the excitement takes over at the beginning of the vision, right? So it's not the beginning that's the hardest. And I bet we all can agree it's not the end of the vision that's the hardest, right? Because we got what we already been asking for. So it's not the end of the middle that's the hardest. I mean, it's not the end of the vision that's the hardest. So if it's not the beginning and it's not the end, could we all agree that's the middle? But why? You know, I was listening to Steve Harvey, and he said, you know, when you ask God for something, it's like you hit the order button on Amazon. And what happens is he ships it off to you, but he don't give you the delivery date. That's right. So the reason why the middle of the vision is so tough, because we can't see the finish line. So how can we get better at being in the finish line and getting to the finish line? So I want to teach tonight how to master being in the middle of the vision. Because if you can master being in the middle, then you can get to the finish line. And so I have 3 P's to master being in the middle of the vision. And then I'm going to get out of here because the food smells pretty good, so I know you're hungry. All right? 3 P's to master being in the middle of the vision. So the first P to master being in the middle of the vision, I need you to pin the vision. But sure, what are you talking about? Pin the vision. You know, in the Bible, it says, I think it says, write the vision and make it right. Oh, wait a minute, y'all already know what to do. So wait a minute, hold on. You know what? I'm not even going to dog this out. I'm not going to move. But as a body of believers, what kills me the most, there's no reason, we have no excuse of not living in an abundant life or striving to live in an abundant life. Right? Because we got the best how-to manual in the world. And when he says write the vision, but we don't do it. We just fail to follow instructions. Right? And so what I need you to go home, it's a Walmart, it's a Walgreens, a CVS. I need you to get a pack of pens. And I need you to get some paper. And with that detailed vision you had at the beginning, I need you to write it all down. Because when it becomes real on paper, it'll become real in your life. And the best thing that the vision and writing it down does for you is it feeds your mind. And the best example of this, man, I was listening to this story, and it was talking about this Alaskan Eskimo. And he lived in the coldest part of Alaska. And he had these 2 dogs. He had a white one, and he had a black one. And every Saturday, he would fight these dogs. And what happened was, sometimes the white one would win, and sometimes the black one would win. But every time, he won. Right? He always bet on the right dog. And one of the local villagers came up to him one day. He said, man, you know what's strange? Sometimes your white dog wins, but sometimes your black dog wins. But every single time you found a way to bet on the right dog. But how did you do that? He said, I just bet on the dog that I was feeding all week. And so what writing the vision does, you get to feed your mind. And so what that feeding of the mind does is the positivity. And what positivity does to your mind it gives us hope. And what hope does, it gives you the ability to endure the suffering in the middle of the vision. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to go home, I challenge you to go home. Get you a pack of pens, no phone, no tablet, no computer, and I need you to write down the vision. I need you to review it daily. And so that's the first P. We're going to pen the vision. And so the second P to mastering the middle of the vision, I need you to be patient. I know it's going to be tough for some of y'all. Because y'all have seen the Chick-fil-A line and wrapping around the building, y'all like, man, I ain't waiting that. It's taking too long. So you got to be patient in the middle of the vision. And I had to look at the definition of what patience is. It's to endure suffering or delay without being upset or angry. And I know that's tough. And the greatest story about patience, and if y'all haven't heard me speak before, y'all are like, Vatrell, please come up with a different story. But the greatest story about patience that I've ever read was about the Chinese. They had this bamboo tree. And so what happens is they plant the seed, they water, they fertilize it, nothing happens. They come back the second year, they water, and they fertilize the seed, nothing happens. They come back the third year, they water, and they fertilize the seed, nothing happens. They even come back the fourth year, and they water, and they fertilize the seed, and nothing happens. And then in the fifth year, they water, and they fertilize the seed, and that bamboo tree goes over 90 feet. But what if they would have got patient in year one? But what if they would have said it's just not going to happen in year two? What if they said I'm going to throw in the towel in year three, and what if in year four I'm like, it's just not going to happen for you? See, it wouldn't have ever seen the full growth of the bamboo tree. And so what it does, you can't allow impatience to interrupt the middle of your vision. And because impatience, what it does, it tells us to quit. What impatience tells us to do is to give up. What impatience tells us to do is it's not going to happen for us. But impatience also keeps us from the last P, which is persistence. And so when I think of persistence, I think about the ant. I remember being a door-to-door salesperson back in Portland, Oregon. And I was selling door-to-door pest control. And it was one of these long and hot days. I did knock about 300 houses, and I ain't getting no sales, and I'm tired, I'm ready to go home, and I want some water, and I'm like, I got one more house. So I go over and decide to knock on the house. I knock on the door, and the guy comes out. He didn't even let me finish my name. He said, please tell me that you're the bug guy. I said, yep, that's me. He said, good, because how fast can you get out here? Because I got these ants, and they come in through the vents of my house, and I need you to fix them immediately. Because these little pesky little things, they are persistent. And he was exactly right. Because if you've ever seen an ant before, if you place an object in front of that ant, he'll first try to go around it. And then if he can't go around it, he'll try to go under it. And if then he can't go under it, he might try to go over it. But what else what he would do is if that does not work, he'll go back to the colony. He'll get some of his friends and he can try to move the object out of the way. Right? So the ant has the philosophy of I'm going to do it until what? Until it happens for me. And so that's how we have to be to master the middle of the vision. We have to develop the philosophy of the ant, of I'm going to do it until it happens for me. And see, the only reason why I have ever known that people can't be persistent is because of people. You see, what happens is we have people that come into our life, and this is what they do. If I was you, I would. You know, if I would have been with you. If I was you, I wouldn't do it. And so what we do is we allow the negativity of people to come into our lives. And they try to tell us what to do to our business. And so what the people do is they give it up on their business, so they want you to do what they're doing. And so what we do is we allow these people, this negativity to creep into our mind. And I was reading the 48 Laws of Power, and it was talking about how this disease, it's misery. Misery loves company. And misery is an infection. It's just like it starts off. But just like any infection, it turns into a disease if it's untreated. And then just like any disease, it has the capability of taking you it has the capability of killing your vision. So don't allow negative people to creep into your life and to kill your vision. And as I close, I did have an illustration for you guys, but I don't know, it's somebody in here. I don't know who it is, but I can feel it. Somebody's in here saying, Vatrell, bro, I hear you, but you don't know what I've been through. Somebody in here saying, Vatrell, like, it sounds good, man, but I'm too old. I'm too young. I can't be pursuing no vision. I feel it. Somebody's in here saying, Vatrell, it sounds good, but it's just not going to happen for me. And I want to tell you this. Your vision is not only important to you, but it's important to God. And I want to tell you, it had a prime example of how I know this. Some of you may or may not know it, but I was around 7 years old, and I had gotten my first ever bike. And I had gotten my bike right, and my dad's outside watching us. It was me and my friends outside playing. We was riding on the sidewalk, and he specifically told us, y'all stay off the road, stay on the sidewalk. We like that, we got you, we got to go on the road, we got you. So a couple minutes later, he decided to go into the house. That was his mistake, not mine. He decided to go in the house, and he said, Vatrell, y'all stay on the sidewalk, don't go in that road. We like that, we got you, not going in the road. And then as soon as he closed that door and went inside, guess what we did? We went in that road. And all I can remember is the front tire of my bike going off the sidewalk into the road. And that was it. And then I found myself waking up in the ambulance. Blood all over my face, people screaming. They're like, Vatrell, you just got hit by a car. But you're lucky. You didn't get hit by the front of the car, you got hit by the... You see, if you would have got hit by the front of the car, it might would have killed you. And I didn't know it then. But God was saying, Vatrell, even though that you've been disobedient to your father, I have a vision for your life. There's some people's lives that you will have to change. He knew I was going to be here today. I didn't know that he had a vision for my life. And if you're still in the presence of me today, he wants me to tell you, you still have a vision. And he still has a vision for your life. That I can't allow you to quit. That I can't allow you to stop in the middle. You don't understand how close you are. You're just so close. And as I close, I wanted to do a little illustration. All right. Everybody know what this is? It's a slingshot, right? Okay. All right, we got some intelligent people in here. I like that. So, we all know we have to place the object in the middle of the slingshot, right? Okay. So, when I place the object in the middle of the slingshot, but if I do nothing else, is it going to go anywhere? No. Okay. So, if I pull it back a little bit, then it'll go a little bit, right? Okay. If I decide to pull it back a little bit more, then it'll go a little bit farther, right? But if I pull it back as far as it possibly can go, then it's going to go as far as it possibly can, right? So what I want you to do when you put these P's into practice is what God sees when He first sees you P in the vision, He pulls you back a little bit. And then when He sees that you're patient in the middle of the vision, because He says, if it seems slow, wait for it. Then He pulls you back a little bit. And then when He sees that you've been persistent in the middle of the vision, He pulls you back as far as you possibly can go. And what happens is it propels you forward to that vision of that life that you've been visualizing. So don't get discouraged if you get pulled back, because it's still going to happen to you. And remember this, if you don't remember nothing else I told you tonight, please, 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 don't get terrified when you're in the middle of the vision, because God, our God, has your vision and it's verified. Thank you. That's my time.